So that's what I like about it more than anything is,
Right.
the people I get to meet when making people happy. I mean, some of this stuff's once in a lifetime, like these moose. I've probably hung probably 8 Alaskan moose in the last 3 months, you know, and that was all from, doing, people seeing Ryans. That's pretty cool. Those suckers are big and heavy and nobody's doing that. You know what I mean? So, I mean, a lot of these guys aren't going back again. So I get to hang their once in a lifetime trophy.
What's going on, guys? Hope you're having a fantastic Tuesday. Here's another different style of gear review. I'm going to have Jim Nacarrato on this one. He's the one that created right here, if I'm pointing in the right direction, but the mount for my bull. He does some amazing work, guys. It's super awesome, the mounts that he creates. So many different options. I'd highly recommend going and checking out what he has to offer. It's over on the Initial Ascent website. He does table mounts, he does wall mounts, he does mounts for the states. Like this one, I know it looks like kind of a square, but if you look at it closely, it's the shape of Colorado, where I got my first bull. So enjoy this conversation, guys, this podcast episode. Hope you get something out of it. Learn a little bit more about the man behind these amazing steel mounts and all the work that he puts in. Also, guys, I want to remind you of a couple things we have going on. First, we are giving away through the month of February tickets to Mountain Archery Fest and bow hitches for each ticket holder so that you can up your game as far as not having to carry your bow, and you can go and enjoy Mountain Archery Fest. That is a nationwide event, multiple locations, and possibly even more to come. Go check that out over on Instagram. And, of course, guys, I'm going to leave the link down below so you can get in on that giveaway as far as the bow hitch and the Mountain Archery Fest is concerned. And last but not least, the 10,000 subscriber bow build giveaway. I want you guys to be a part of that. I want to give back to you, especially with all the subscribers that we are having, the growth. Really appreciate it, guys. Thank you so much for that. If you're listening to this on the audio-only version, go over to YouTube, subscribe. At 10,000 subscribers, I will be building a fully built bow with all the accessories that I use on my bow for you to take home, enjoy, go hunting with, go shoot tack, Mountain Archery Fest, all of the wonderful events for 3D shoots on the mountain. Now let's get into this conversation with Jim Nacarrato, and then, of course, go and check out his mounts for whatever it is, whitetail, mule deer, antelope, elk, and more. Here we go. Welcome back, everyone, to the Red.Beard Outdoors podcast. I have an outstanding guest for you guys today. His name is Jim Nacarrato, and he is just, first off, he's the one that, that's my first bull there. So I get to mount my first bull on the mounts that he makes. He makes some outstanding ones. You can see one right there on the table beside him as well. It is the Iron Mountain skull hangers. Did I get that right?
Got it right.
Perfect. I don't know why I was getting tongue-tied, but so Iron Mountain skull hangers, they obviously work with Initial Ascent. You can find them on the Initial Ascent website, and you're going to want to, after this discussion, you're going to want to know a little bit more about Jim as well, and we'll get into that. But he's been working, I just found this out, over 40 years in metalwork. That takes it takes skill and dedication, and you've obviously worked really hard in it and figured out what you like, what you don't like, and how to do things. So, and you did the sign behind you as well, if I'm correct.
Right. I have help. Yeah. So I've got a guy that's doing my laser cutting. So we do the design to him, but yeah, everything else, we all put our heads together. Me, Dennis, Joe, everybody, and so yeah,
That's
but
awesome. So,
it's pretty
Jim, for
cool.
people that don't know who you are, they might have heard of Iron Mountain skull hangers just through Initial Ascent and other posts and stuff on social media, but they don't know who Jim is. So, who are you, man?
I'm just like, yeah, just like fabricating and hunting and outdoorsman, and yeah, they're just, and the skull hanger deal that goes hand in hand. And it all started in 2013. I needed a hanger. And so I built one out of horseshoes I had laying around. My buddies see it. They liked it. Pretty soon, taxidermists were wanting them. And I actually got them, heck, I'm trying to think what year it was. Research Mannequins. I'm a vendor for them also. So they made them legit, right? And it snowballed from there. was doing custom stuff, and I do other fabrication too, obviously, like the sign, and I'm doing a bunch of stuff for these guys for Initial Ascent too. But anyhow, yeah, just just like being in the shop and building stuff, and I like doing one-off stuff, and that's kind of my deal now is the custom hangers. Like there's nothing out there. I've been doing a bunch on Alaskan moose. I'm sure you've seen those. And so, Lampers is the first one that started doing the Alaskan, this background and everything. And man, I've done a bunch since then. And I've got one, matter of fact, getting ready to ship to Brady Miller. And it's a different design. It's another new design. So, yeah, it's my deal.
Yeah. So Jim basically is you've never grown up. You enjoy tinkering and building things. It's like Legos for adults, right? Is that what?
Kind of. I mean, there's, it's a niche. I mean,
Yeah.
you have your, so when Brian Colfer saw him, his thing, he's like, dude, these are art. There's nothing like these. They're not just punched out hangers. You know what I mean? It's like,
Hmm.
and they're all made here. That's the cool thing. I support I'm small business. My powder coater, the horse, everything's, the whole thing, the whole products, everything's made in the United States. So that's cool. You know what I mean? So yeah, there's a niche for, I just kind of found it, and I've got all the right people behind me, and like I said, now we're using, Initial Ascent website to set, they're right down the road, but we live 10 minutes apart. So it's just it's a cool deal. And I'm get to work with cool people, so I'm not gonna ever retire. I mean, yeah. So
Exactly. When I mean
yeah,
you found something you're passionate about, and that's really
yeah,
awesome. And honestly, yeah, it is different having the horseshoe design, and then you have some other designs as well.
right.
I know for a little bit you were doing the states. Is there still a handful of those, or is that
I
something
do
that's
them last. So we have this one here. I don't know if you can see it.
yeah, I
So
can see that.
that's a whole deal. But yeah, we all the states. That's a huge deal. And I'm also, I do some without. I lost you.
No, you're good.
Oh,
Keep
we
going.
good? Okay.
Yep.
So I did like so Brady's I did because the moose ones are hard to ship.
Mm,
They're huge.
I bet.
I
Yeah.
actually shipped one to Wisconsin. It was like $162 to send it back there from Alaska moose. So now I've done one with tubing. It's still the Alaska the state plaque, but it's like basically a receiver, like your hitch on your truck. Slide in, bolt it. So it's all tube out from there. No horseshoes on that one. And you'll see it if you go. It'll be like I said, Brady's gonna do some promoting for me and everything, and it's a pretty cool design. So it does. I don't have to just do horseshoes. I mean, but that's kind of my deal. I started it, and that kind of sets me apart too. And not everybody likes them, but that's my deal, and so
Well, and
yeah,
that's the thing too. When you come out with something custom, a little bit more niche, like you have, it's not something that's going to be for everyone, which is fine. But at the same time, like people like what Brian was stating, and when I saw him, it's just different. It stands out. I know people can't really tell, and I'll do a breakdown of mine after this podcast comes out, or even just before that. But the the fact it looks like a rectangle, but it's Colorado, right? So, of
yeah,
course, Colorado is the one state that it looks kind of like a rectangle, but there's a slight curvature to it if you get up close to it, and I'll break that down. But I love the idea of having the state behind your mount, so you can always remember, hey, this deer or elk or moose or whatever came from this particular area. And then at the same time, you've got those table mounts like the one right beside you. And I
yeah.
think that's pretty awesome. I know there's some at the Kryptek headquarters. They have some awesome mounts there as well that you've done for them.
All right.
And the table mounts are pretty sweet too. Eventually, like I was personally worried that my wife was going to tell me no on this one. To be honest with you, I thought she was going to
Yeah,
tell me to move it to the garage. She's been okay with it so far, so we're slowly working into where she's okay with me having Euro mounts in my office, right? So
you're right.
but it really you really do an awesome job, and you can tell there's a lot of time and quality put into your hangers. So I guess, why did you choose horseshoes? Like, what was that stood out to you?
Well, so I grew up, on a ranch, rodeo,
Mhm.
and we always had horses around. So you build everything out of used horseshoes. You don't waste them. You hang
Yep.
stuff on them. So uh, yeah, that'd be cool, and that's how it started.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay.
So
And then so you've been hunting ever since you were a little kid. Have you lived
yeah,
in Idaho your whole life?
uh, no, I grew up on the cattle ranch in California, actually. So yeah,
Back when
yep,
California was beautiful.
yep, yep. I was out of there in '91. Yeah, it's changed. I mean, people realize. I mean, where I grew up, it was just all ranching and farming, just like out there used to be. I mean, I've been here, I've been in the Treasure Valley for 18 years, and watched it. The same things happening here that happened there. I mean, we won't get into that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, no.
it's just blowing up. But
So,
yeah, so
but
back
even
to
in,
the, go ahead.
let's say, go ahead. When you were in California.
No, I was just gonna go. I was gonna say, like, you saw the stuff I did for Butch, Kryptek. That's
Yep.
all custom stuff like that. So, they needed that elk up above the Duke, the Ram, all behind that table, and Jay and Austin had this vision, and it's like, so that to me that was super cool to be able to do that project, and then to see it all finished with the lights in there and all that. So when they were trying to got it done for Sheep Mountain Outfitters, which I do their stuff,
Mm,
and they had actually had the first spot. They were down for the sheep show, so we did that in like 3 days.
wow.
So, but that stuff is cool, That's what I enjoy doing. So, yeah,
So you're basically a metal artist at this point. I mean, you can
yeah.
see things and picture things and make them happen with whether it be horseshoes or metal work, whatever it may be. What's your favorite piece that you have built up to this point?
My favorite piece be a good one. So you can go. I've done two fighting rams. That's pretty cool. They're deadheads. Cat hunters had found, and they just wanted them like in a fighting pose, and that was it. Well, so I ended up pivoting them in three spots where you can change the position on them. And the dude was like, they just turned me loose on stuff. So
Mhm.
basically, I get to do what I want, and I've done more than one since then. But I mean, that was like the first time I'd done it. The guy was just, my thing is, I want my customer happy, and I want them, better than what they expected, and
Right.
like they were totally stoked with that. And it's a pretty cool piece. Like I said, you could put them in a different position, like every day, and so that's probably one of them. And honestly, that deal I did for Butch, with Kryptek, that bull elk up on that, I've never, I mean, that sucker's like 50 inches off the ground, but that was pretty cool. It turned out neat, and my deal, I actually build stuff in my head. I don't, I see it before I build it, so, like that case there, though, it's like, just kind of look around the shops, like, what do I have in here? Because I'd had to get that thing built. I wanted to get to the powder coaters. 'Cause I didn't want to rattle can it. I mean, this is
Hmm.
Kryptek, man. I want this stuff nice, right?
Oh yeah,
So, I just start to walk around the shop and look what I got for material and build it. I mean, that's a one offer. You know what I'm saying? That's custom, and that's what I really like doing.
for
So,
sure.
yeah,
So if people are wanting, for example, because you obviously sell your different your mounts for deadheads and other things on the Initial Ascent website, if they want to contact you for custom metal work, what's the best way for people to get a hold of you?
the best way they can call me, just go Instagram. You can message me, or my number's on there. Give me a call because we need to talk on custom stuff. Like I've done, sometimes I need measurements, like I did in Alaskan Caribou. So I need that thing put against the walls, how they want it on the wall, and then measure the distance from the wall to the
Hmm.
skull, so I can, make sure it's going to clear and all that when I do that custom stuff. And kind of like the moose, I got the moose figured out. Like I said, I've done it. Those are, you know,
Yeah,
I got that figured out now. But the best way is just to get a hold of me through Instagram, and like I said, feel free to call too. I mean, I don't, it's the best way. Talk it out
awesome.
and, get you what you want. So,
Well, sweet.
Yeah,
No, that's
yeah,
really cool. And metalwork is something that it's something that I don't completely understand because I guess for me, I'm not an artist. I can't really envision things like even that sign behind you, like just picturing,
right,
how that's going to look and things like that. I'm not much of a person that can visualize things like that. So it's always cool to me when people like yourself are able to take a couple measurements here and there and some basic ideas of what people are wanting mounted or where they want it, and you're able to turn it into something that looks amazing. I mean,
right,
for people that don't know that Kryptek, the mount that he's talking about, I recommend you go and look at it. It's fantastic. I mean, it looks really awesome. And when you told me you're the one that did that, I was like, wow, that's. I mean, you're obviously a professional, and you could tell you've put 40 years worth of knowledge and work into that. 40 plus, I mean, what, 43 years you
right.
said it's been since you graduated high school. So,
Yeah,
uh, not to age you or anything, but to me, that's an accomplishment. It really is.
yeah,
When someone's willing to be that dedicated to a project and a career and a passion for such a long amount of time. I mentioned to you before we got started, most people they don't even stick with a job for more than 2 years before they
right.
move on because they got fed up with somebody or something about the job. They got bored, whatever. And you found a way to stick with metalworking for over 40 years. Like that is super impressive. So you started in California in the beautiful parts because California, I joke about this, guys, but California really is. It's one of the most beautiful states in the United States, as far as just got beaches, mountains, everything in between, tons of wildlife available. It's just unfortunately when you get people involved and people with ideas that don't necessarily understand everything. I'm trying to be nice here, but basically politics has ruined the state because people have come in and messed things up instead of taking care of it. But in all reality, California it's a beautiful state to have been raised in and to have enjoyed back then. So when you left in, you said 91, you
Yeah.
went to Idaho. Was that your
Actually,
next?
no, I actually went to Hawaii.
Oh, all
Yeah,
right. That's
I
another
was,
beautiful place that I have not yet to visit. I will get there eventually. But
yeah,
what part of Hawaii?
Hawaii. So
Okay.
my wife was going to school over there,
Hmm.
so I got accepted to go. And so yeah, we lived there for almost 7 years. So I was a mechanic welder at Wowzer Paper Company when I was over there. So
So tell me about living on the island because I've heard mixed stories. Like I had a lot of family members or one of them was stationed over there,
yeah.
and he said after about a year, he got kind of bored because you can drive around the island in a couple hours. And so, how did you live there for 7 years? What did you do while you were there for 7 years?
So we played a lot of well, played softball, fast pitch, slow pitch year round, and went to actually was hunting lanai
Mm,
way before that was popular. It's crazy how that's at.
right.
Watch that now, how big that's gotten because we used to go do the state hunt there for access during Moose One. Uh, yeah, when it wasn't like it is now. But the
Yeah.
craziest thing was we used to pay $2 a gallon for gas then. Thought that was crazy, but you know, um, but yeah, there's plenty to do. You figure my job kept me really busy, so and I still came to Idaho hunt when I lived there, believe it or not. So I get I didn't get island fever. You can jump islands cheap then, and there's plenty to do.
Hmm.
So yeah, but
So with your time there, you mentioned you were hunting axis deer in Mouflon. Um, did you ever get into boars? Like, did you ever do the knife boar hunts?
so there's actually hogs on Oahu. No, because I grew up doing that. We had a ton of hogs at the ranch, so I've been through that
Mm,
catching with the dog, all that deal. So I could really care less about hunting hogs. It's cool to go hunt, the sheep and the deer. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, and there's so Lanai on that day, hogs in Oahu has plenty.
yeah.
It's like so. Yeah, I mean that's a good thing over there to go, catch them with dogs and stuff. But like I said, I'd done that a lot. I want to do something different. So that was my thing, going to Lanai and stuff, and like. So, and softball is huge over there.
Hmm.
And so Weyerhaeuser Paper Company, all the operators, half of those guys are all actually UH football players. So I
Okay.
was in with all those guys. So like we'd go to the big Molokai tournament, you know what I mean? So we got to
Oh yeah.
jumping islands and that we're union, so we play in the ILWU tournaments and jumping islands. I mean, you can stay really busy over there between sports and hunting and you know yeah.
Yeah. So I know about soft pitch or slow pitch softball. My dad was in a league with police department and stuff, not in Hawaii, but I know that's a big thing, and it seems like a lot of fun, a lot of time to get together with people and build that community. But with the hunting, the axis deer. So I've heard a lot. I haven't had axis deer. I've heard it's some of the best game meat you can have. Would you agree with that, or where would you rank that on your
I
game meat since
definitely
you've been?
agree with it.
Yeah.
It is, and until you have it, you wouldn't believe it. But I used to trade out the guy whose house we used to stay at and rent his vehicles from. And anyhow, I'd bring him elk meat and stuff, and he's like, "Wait till So the first time I saw, anyways, I brought him meat, and then when we killed an axis deer, and I had my first axis meat, it's like, holy cow, he was right. It is. It's that good. So
That's awesome.
yeah.
So what, I guess, with axis deer, did you have a certain limit that you would do every year? Was it by seasons?
So
What's kind of
base.
the thing?
So they have it's basically a state hunt, a 1 day deal. When we were there, 1 day, one Saturday a month. So basically, half that island was, state owned. So they're just
Okay.
keeping the numbers down. So you basically have 1 day to hunt. We'd
Wow.
fly over on a Friday, hunt
And you could
Saturday,
hunt
come home
as many
Sunday.
as you wanted in one
One.
day?
No,
Oh,
one.
okay.
The private side you can, but not the state side. The state, it was a
Gotcha.
state hunt that we did. So you had to draw. They had, so basically they had an archery season. The front end of it, I want to say it was, I can't even remember, 9 days, whatever, some
Hmm.
weird number, 7, 9 days. And then a muzzleloader. They had like 2 or 3 weekends of muzzleloader, then the rest was rifle. So we'd muzzleload. It's hard to draw a rifle hunt. Well, I've done plenty of muzzleloading, so and you can actually use a scope over there. So
Okay.
guaranteed draw with a muzzleloader. So we just muzzleload it.
No, that
So
makes sense. It's a
yeah.
little, it's, you still got to get closer than a rifle. But they're pretty jumpy animals from what I understand. Again, I don't have any experience with them, but I know a lot of people that have hunted, whether it be Lanai or in Texas, or other places that they're available, and they say that they're pretty jumpy.
They
Um,
are.
yeah, and it's do you so the idea behind that is that they were bred in their DNA to be chased by tigers basically because that's where they're from is the Indian area. Is that
Hmm.
correct?
Yeah.
And so that's why they're so jumpy. But so you would get one axis deer a year. They're not very big. So how else did you supply
No,
your game meat for your time in Hawaii?
didn't. Whatever whenever like if I came to Idaho or whatever, you know what I mean? But other than that, yeah. But those things actually are pretty good size. There's some that
Okay.
are really big bodied, the mature ones. But anyhow,
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome.
yeah,
So you would
yeah,
fly from Hawaii to come to Idaho to hunt.
yeah.
So what would bring you off the island to fly over here, which isn't cheap, and hunt in Idaho? What were you hunting? What would you come over here to hunt?
Usually deer.
Okay.
But you miss the mountains. You
Yeah.
miss it's a different deal. I mean, so yeah. You can kind of you can get your hunting pick, but it's not the same. Hawaii hunting's not near the same as coming here. So yeah.
So would you say like you're more in the camp of you like to hunt deer over elk, or is there a specific species that you prefer to hunt?
Deer and elk are my two favorite, but archery
Same.
elk's hard to beat. I
Yeah,
really enjoy that. So yeah.
I definitely agree. And Idaho has some pretty good opportunities for that.
Oh,
I know
definitely.
I know the northern area of Idaho is kind of getting torn up right now with wolves, but um, I know there's some other good areas for sure. I'm sure you know all the good spots, having been hunting there for a while.
Do all right.
Um,
Yeah.
you do all right. That's awesome. So, I guess walk us through. So you went to Hawaii for 7 years, and then did you move to Idaho from there, or what was next in your?
Back to California and then
Okay.
there. So yeah,
So
you know,
what took you back to California?
just a family, just everything, work and family, and so yeah.
And then you came up to Idaho. Was the draw to Idaho because you just enjoy hunting it so much, or was there something else that brought you up here?
Just the get out of the rat race and just everything. Yeah, it was time. So
Yeah. Well, with so many other options, though, I guess what I'm trying to get at is why Idaho over like Utah, Montana, Wyoming? Why Idaho? What draws you to Idaho?
what doesn't I know everything. I mean, you have everything right here, like this. I mean, you know what I mean? Year round. I mean, it's. I just love Idaho. It's cool, and yeah.
That's awesome. That's
So
awesome.
you know what I
And
mean? Yeah.
yeah, so my experiences in Idaho, um, I know people that absolutely love it. I know it's a joke that that's where all the potatoes come from, which I love potatoes, so I'm surprised I haven't ended up in Idaho. But there's definitely a lot of it's beautiful mountains. It's got some good weather. You get snow, but you also get a good summer, not too hot, etc. And lots of opportunities for hunting as well, for sure. I know that's probably changed. You've probably even seen that change over the years, the hunting opportunities in Idaho. What's kind of your take on that, having been hunting there for a while? What have you seen that's changed that maybe concerns you that we should be, maybe stepping up and taking action on, or what are you seeing up there?
What am I seeing? A lot of pressure. Way too many people starting, combat hunting now. Seriously. Uh, but that's a whole nother subject. We can go on that forever. But there's just, the pressure's under hunting
Mhm.
pressure. So it's changed a lot. Spots you used to have all to yourself that you got, spiked into. Now there might be five guys in there. It just, guys, you're dropping pins, and you don't scout, putting boot leather down more. You know. So it just, I mean that we could go on and on about that. It's just everything's changed.
Yeah.
And the fact that like in this valley, I mean, the population's doubled, and it's like so, you know, you've got all these general over-the-counter hunts, dude. You're gonna find a spot to camp if you go hunt any of the easy stuff. Seriously, it's crazy. So, yeah, but
Yeah. No, I definitely agree, and it's something that I kind of battle with myself a little bit because there's definitely more. There's been an uptick in the amount of people, especially since COVID, that wanted to get outdoors and enjoy the outdoors, which I absolutely love. But at the same time, it can get a little frustrating when you are out there, like you said, combative hunting, when you're trying to get to the spot first, or have a slight advantage over another hunter, so you can get to the spot that you've been scouting, or whatever it may be. Um, so I guess you moved to Idaho, and then throughout this entire time you've been welding, you've been a mechanic, you've been in metalwork, you've been doing all of these things. What I guess you told us that you started by simply making your own mount, and then other people wanted you to make them for them. Uh, you know, was it just all based on word of mouth? Is that how you've spread the business?
it was word of mouth to begin with, and then this social media stuff started up. So I started, I'd send hangers, like, to people to try. So I basically got, everybody now, so Brian Call, Ryan, and all those guys, basically promoting. I'm letting those guys are promoting my hangers. That's kind of what I've been doing, and decided to push a little bit more. I mean, people, people wanted them and needed them. So what, I mean, they're my platforms. I'm just using, all those guys to, I just want to build stuff. I'm not into the
Yeah.
social media. I like meeting people and talking to people, but as far as posting and, doing any of that, I don't want no part of that. So yeah, I'm just letting the product speak for itself. I mean, these, people like it and just, you know, just decided to grow it a little bit more here the last few years. And that's what, like I said, just get them into the hands of these guys that, have the big platforms, and that's, that's it,
Yeah, yeah. No, for sure.
So,
So,
yeah.
I mean, I could go on and talk to people about, the quality and everything that I see from your mounts. But I guess what I want to hear from you is kind of your journey through metalworking, not necessarily just the mounts, but how is it that, I guess, what can you remember about when you first started metalworking and your journey up to now? Kind of walk us through that, as you've been in different states, you've had different life circumstances, and then you kind of stumbled into this with creating your own mounts, and then everyone else wanted them because they function well, they're quality, and they look great. But walk us through, I guess, start us from the beginning. When you graduated high school, what was your first metalworking job?
Well, so I worked at a little family-owned business, and they did all custom work there, and actually built. We used to build water tanks that
Mm.
you actually built by hand. I mean, you hand riveted them, and it was pretty cool. Then I went for the fab shop well, I grew up in Hollister. That's where I was born and raised. Then there was two big fab shops in town, and I got lucky enough that this guy kept coming by the shop that I worked at, in high school and right out of high school was kind of like the hanging out spot after work. And this one guy used to stop by all the time and kept asking me if I was going to go to work for him. And finally, my boss, which he's like my father, he's like, you know what, you need to go. So they walked me in the office, and like I worked there for 9 years. So that's when you start getting these all the big, presses and shear, all the cool tools and stuff, and equipment, and so that was cool. So that kind of when I went to Hawaii, they have a big old test you have to take to be they called it a class 1 mechanic welder, and they needed 3 guys they wanted 3 mechanics. I happened to walk in there. Coming to long story short, they'd have two guys, 2 break rooms full of applicants and people taking the test. Only 2 guys passed it. I walked in there and I took it in the boss's office, and I passed it as the 3rd guy to pass the test out of 2 break room full of people. And that was just, it wasn't college ed. It was all experience. It's just stuff that I had done, which is common knowledge to people in my field. You know what I'm saying? The stuff you learn just from other people, and through work, it was kind of cool because I had no idea. I just thought everybody could do that. You do this stuff,
Yeah.
and uh, so and it just kept evolving. I got to build catwalk, just different stuff to make jobs easier there while I was in Hawaii, which they actually paid you to do that. If you could make you know stuff that would make the job go faster, because we're constantly tearing those machines down, and they big roller, all kinds of stuff. We're talking big stuff where you're using
Hmm.
cranes and this and that and lifts, and so I was figuring out easier ways you know to get those jobs done quicker. So it's just kind of, I don't know, it's just something you look back on it again, you're just trying to figure out how to make jobs easier at the time, but it all kind of leads to this, where, yeah, I guess not everybody has the niche. You kind of thought that was the deal, but yeah. So it's just just a ton of different experience
Yeah.
that, and that's just where, like falls into this deal. Like I said, you're in that, it's a cool industry. I get to,
Right.
I wouldn't be talking to you right now. I've met so many people by doing this, and so that's what I like about it more than anything is,
Right.
the people I get to meet, and Yeah, it's cool, and making people happy. I mean, some of this stuff's once in a lifetime, like these moose. I've probably hung probably 8 Alaskan moose in the last 3 months, you know, and that was all from, doing, people seeing Ryans, and so that's pretty cool. Those suckers are big and heavy and nobody's doing that, you know what I mean? So, I mean, those are, a lot of these guys aren't going back again. So I get to hang their once in a lifetime trophy. So, you
That's
know,
amazing.
yeah, pretty cool. So, but that's just what it's kind of led up to, I mean, yeah, I mean, I've done a lot of other projects here for people, fixing, farm equipment. I do all commercial tires. Go to the commercial tire, I built all their tire racks for every one of their stores. And then, all my stuff, powder coated. I'm real picky. My stuff's like super clean. And, you know, those guys could have whatever they wanted. They go, come to me on it, man. It's like, you know, I just, I guess I do quality work. So, yeah,
I wouldn't say that you guess. And I know you're being humble and probably not on purpose. You're one of those guys that genuinely you love what you do. You're not looking for the spotlight. And you just enjoy, like you said, meeting the people that you get to meet and hearing their stories about
you're right.
about different animals, from everything from, like me, my first bull is hanging on one of your mounts, to people that get to do those once in a lifetime hunts and come to you for the mount that gets to hang their once in a lifetime animal for the rest of their lives, and then probably on generations. I mean,
You're right.
your hangers are gonna keep those animals up on walls and in gyms or offices or wherever it may be for generations. And so I think
You're right.
that's pretty awesome. It's something that lasts a long time. So so you say you powder coat everything. Is that you powder coat everything on like your mounts as well?
What do you, yeah, my, all my hangers are powder coated unless you don't
Mhm.
want them, but yeah, it
So I
just,
guess what for someone like me that doesn't, I know there's better processes and worse processes. Like taking a spray can to a piece of metal is not the best way to take care of that metal, but powder coating is. I know it's one of the better, if not the best ways to do it. Walk us through why powder coating versus maybe a different coating that you would be able to put on them.
well, so the deal is, so like, and the other thing is, so all my horseshoes are brand new, all those, right? So, but basically it's sandblasted.
Mhm.
And then that powder coating finish is baked on. So it's durable. I mean, it'll never rest on you. I mean, you can probably drop, you screw up and drop, it makes them tough. And it's just, to me, it's the only way to go. And my other deal is, basically, I build stuff for you like I build it for me. Take it or leave it. I mean, I'm not going to cut corners or, you know, I, that's been kind of my deal. And these things are a total overkill. I had a guy tell me, you got to, hang a carcass. You can hang a carcass on, an elk carcass on my dang, seriously, on my elk hanger. If you hooked you could, if you could anchor it, so it's like, I overkill everything and I build stuff for you like I build it for me. So, you know, why not do it right? you know, I
Yep,
just,
I agree. I
and I
love
just,
that. I love that
that's
you
the way
don't.
to go.
Yeah, I love that you don't cut corners. And for me, I just didn't know like the difference between like Cerakoting, powder coating. I obviously know rattle can. Like that's
Right.
something I could do. Probably not even the best, but I could do it, right? But what's the difference between powder coating and Cerakoting? Because it sounds similar to where it's baked on.
It's pretty similar, but like there's way more. So like Cerakote is going to be more for
Mm,
starters, and you don't have, like, so the powder cutters. There's way, you have your choice. There's way more powder cutters. They got huge, So to me, that's an easy choice for me. I mean, you could Cerakote them, you could do all kinds of, but that's just what I choose, and uh, you know, that's the way to go for this product. I mean, you wouldn't powder coat a rifle barrel, but or an axe, you
yeah,
use Cerakote. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
Um, uh, for hangers, to me, that's a finish you want is yeah. So
That's awesome. I love it
yeah,
that you're treating your products like something that you would be proud to put on your own wall. You're not just mass manufacturing and sending it out that way.
well, that's the
So
difference. Yeah,
yeah,
you know, there's others. You know, that's what separates my stuff from everybody else's. You know, it's not just punched up my hanger. This like that my plaques. I mean, they're 1/8 inch thick. Do you need
hmm
an 1/8 inch?
yeah,
No, but you know what? It's going to stay flat. You know what I'm saying? It's a little overkill. I make a 16 gauge one with a tab you just push out. If you just want that for deer and small stuff, but this is a whole nother. You know, the state hangers with the horseshoes are stuff, and that just
no, for sure.
my name. I'm signing my name to them. I don't want somebody like, oh, look at this piece of junk. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah,
Exactly.
you
Exactly.
know,
Well, that's awesome. So,
yeah.
walk us through, I guess, so you started with the wall mount and then, is this right here beside you, is that your bear?
This a wolf. This a wolf I
Or
killed.
sorry. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Never mind. I couldn't see the angle.
yeah,
Yeah. Is that your wolf?
yeah, yeah. So
That's a big skull. That's a big
no,
boy.
no. This thing actually sat in the initial Ascent booth at the expo. You look at all those podcasts they did,
Yeah.
all three, 4 days or whatever. Yeah, I got this thing got to sit on that table, and no, there was just so I make a bunch of 3 or 4 different hangers for, skulls like this. I got them where, the predator skulls, you can put them on the wall. Um, Again, you can go look at Initial Ascent's website and see them all, or, go on my Instagram page and look also. But I do all kinds of different stuff. I make a, we call it the predator pole, but I make a pole where you can adjust them up and slide them up and down and on a tube and all different angles, all different heads. Um, yeah. So
That's awesome.
there's a lot
So,
of different, I mean, I'd shoot. There's a lot of different, you know, applications for, just depending on what you want. But like this here, you can put deer on, this is like kind of, you can put a ton of stuff on here and you can adjust the angle just by sliding. You can slide the skull on farther. Like antelope looks super cool on these, smaller, but I mean, so yeah, that's kind of like my whole purpose there, but yeah.
yeah. No, for sure. That's really cool. So I imagine in your house you've got a lot of mounts.
Yeah.
What would be
Go
I was just
ahead.
gonna say, what would be your favorite, like, if you could tell one story of a hunting story or an animal that you've killed, that you have hanging up on your wall, what's the one that really stands out above the rest for you?
If you walked into everything's pretty much in my shop. So if you walk in the shop, the first thing you're going to see is a wall of bucks with a life size that wolf, which I actually killed buck hunting. But I'd have to say the best story. I got a jumping cat, big old time. I had a cat. I don't know where he kind of sneaking on me, like bow range. that
Hmm.
I end up shooting right at dark rifle. And they're curious as it goes. Was it gonna hit me? Maybe, don't know, but that was a cool story. By myself sneaking along, looking into this off this ledge, this rim where I'd seen a buck the night before, and I only could see one side of him, and I catch moving off to my left, and it's this big Tom, just and he just froze, and his old tails. I mean, they're curious. So was he gonna hit me or not? I don't know, but I got a lion tag in my pocket, and anyways, it kind of jumped into the shop.
All right, back from some technical difficulties, but you were telling us about the curious Tom that had snuck up on you, and you had a mountain lion tag in your pocket, so you got him. You were saying that
It's
was one of your favorite predator hunts.
well, it's super cool. It's just big old Tom. All my buddies hunt. It's like they're like, dude, how cool it is to be able to kill one without. like that, by yourself hunting deer. I'm like, yeah. I mean, I've all, I've had a few chances, but never actually got to, get a shot because you're usually trying to, they're sneaky unless you catch them laying out, whatever. But anyhow, that was kind of a cool experience. And then my buddy RJ at Hunter's Choice Taxidermy, he does a really cool, actually modify his farm farm. These cats are jumping off a rock. So yeah, it's jumping off a rock above some bucks in my shop, and it's just it's cool. So that's kind of like that gets everybody's attention. Between that and the wolf, it's kind of cool. So
Yeah.
got pictures, got the skull underneath it and all that, and so
That is pretty cool.
yeah,
It's a little creepy to think that he's able to sneak in on you that close, but they're very stealthy. I mean,
yep.
you wouldn't even know they're there unless you, like you said, you happen to catch them out of the corner of your eye, or you get lucky and see them. But they're all over the place.
They're watching you all the time. Just I'm
Hmm.
not, didn't freak me out. You know what I mean? It's all, yeah. I mean, if you knew how many times you were being watched and had one close to you,
Yeah,
so it's just one of those deals. So yeah,
yeah. Between mountain lions, bears, coyotes, wolves up in Idaho in that area,
yeah,
I mean, you're always being watched by something.
you know, them cats are curious, so
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah,
so
my buddy got one a couple years ago. It was like I want to say it was an inch or two away from the state record. It was a big tom,
yeah,
and I mean he's just over 6 foot tall, and holding it up, I mean it was taller than he was on his hind legs. Like this thing was big,
yeah,
and it was heavy. I mean it was probably at least 180 pounds, if not more. I mean it was a big old cat, and
right,
it's just crazy to think that they're just walking around out there, and I mean that's their territory, that's their home turf, and um, you got to have a respect for them. You know, we were out in Colorado elk hunting, and one of my buddies was coming back from another spot that he'd been, and he saw some hikers, and he was like, oh. They were in Tivas. It was kind of cold that night. It had actually gotten down to like the low 40s, high 30s, and these guys were out there walking around their Tiva sandals, and they're all Patagonia'd out, and they've got all the kind of the hippie, earth loving, want to get out and enjoy nature kind of people, and and they had this little dog with him, and he stops, and he was like, hey, he was like, just to let you know, you might want to keep your dog on a leash, and they're like, why? We're out here in nature. Like, it's not going to bother anybody. Who does it matter? He was like, oh, no, no. It's not about bothering people. It's that's the perfect snack. And
right.
they were like, what are you talking about? He was like, oh, there's mountain lions and bears all through this area. I mean, he's like, I'd be surprised if you hadn't stepped by multiple piles of scat, while you were just out on your hike. And they were like, what? And he said it was so funny to see how unaware they were. And obviously they were hikers. They enjoyed hiking, but how
Right.
unaware they were that they were, amidst these predators that they have no idea. And there's so many people that walk around like that. They don't have any idea what they're walking around with.
Right.
I mean, you're out there actively hunting, and it almost snuck up on you. It's
Right.
like
No, no, because yeah, you're in their world, so
exactly.
you know.
What would you say? You know, as far as predators go, uh, that you enjoy pursuing the most? Bears, wolves, cougars, or is it more of an opportunity style while you're out hunting deer and you happen to come across one?
So like, yeah, I mean, I've hunted a couple times with my buddies with the hounds, with the cats, and the wolves, if I, had more time, they'd be fun to hunt. I do. Bears are fun. I don't, but as far as the predator deal goes, it's like it's been more opportunity than anything. I just make sure I have all the tags. I mean, you're out, you're hunting, right? So, obviously you see a cat or a wolf, it's getting at you, I mean, yeah. So, like, I killed my wolf on, first hour opening day of deer season one year, it's like, doesn't get any better than that, you
Mm-hmm.
know. So yeah, just more, you know, you're hunting, right? Just so, you
Yeah.
know, whatever you glass up. I mean, obviously you hunt stuff like bears, you hunt different, and we do
Yeah.
our
Yeah.
spring bear hunt. That's obviously different. But as far as, you know, hey man, you know, you never know what you're going to glass up or what you're going to run into. I mean, half the time you go back for your second, you pack the rest of your elk out archery hunt, and there's a, you know, you got a bear on it. You know, so we always make sure we hang our quarters away from the carcass, let them have that, you know, and so yeah.
No, I definitely get that. That's awesome. I guess just to kind of wrap things up here a little bit, what are some things that maybe we haven't hit on with your hangers or even about your story that you'd like to share with people, or even someone that's maybe wanting to get into metalwork? You know, maybe some tips for them or some pointers. What's something you want to leave with the audience?
What do I want to leave with the audience? That's a good question. As far as, you know, I guess, I mean, my biggest thing, I mean, for this, you know, the skull hangers is, you know, giving my customer exactly what they want. To me, that's the most important thing of, you know, what I do, you know, and as far as that goes, that works for, you know, whatever you're doing, right? So, you know, give it 100%, do quality work and, you know, fair price, you know, and that's that's what I strive for. You know, I want my customer happy. I mean, I do. You know, I do whatever it takes to make sure. You know, if there's a, you know, somebody's having an issue or whatever. I get people that don't realize like my XL. You know, like you that hanger right there you got behind you.
Mm-hmm.
People don't know you can adjust it. Skulls are so different, and that's probably the biggest thing. Um, People got to understand, you know, they think it's not adjustable. Oh, it's adjustable. You just make sure it's not under that strap. You bent, push down on it, slide it on. You know, that's the biggest thing I've learned, and you know, through all this, I've been doing long enough that. So you take an average on your angle and everything, got everything. So basically, it's easier to bend down than up. You know what I'm saying? And the elk, I mean, they're so easy. You slide them on. If the back's it, you just slide up where that top tab's not over the top of that skull. Push down on it. You know, give it 2, 3, 4 inches, whatever you want off the, you know, the back's off that wall, and you're good to go. So yeah,
That's awesome.
that's
No, I
basically. I mean, yeah. I mean, and again, I mean, you know, the cat size, you know, because you know, you want to buy one, go to, you know, you jump on Initial Ascent's website and, you know, custom stuff, hit me up, you know, look at my Instagram stuff because, you know, I do have most of my pictures and stuff on there, and feel free to call. You have an idea, you know, come in. It's like this sign. I got, you know, you never know that those eyes are actually pinned back there on the back piece, trying to figure out how to cut this out and make it cool, you know. Uh, yeah, anything's possible. Give the customer what they want.
oh
So,
yeah, 100%. No,
you
I
know,
definitely understand that, and you do a really good job. I mean, you obviously quality work, again, years, decades of experience. That's something that you can't really put a price tag on. You definitely show that you make quality work and you're passionate about what you do. You love getting outdoors. You love hunting. You love that lifestyle, and then of course you enjoy the people that you get to interact with as you get to build their custom pieces, or even again hearing the stories of the people that are putting their bull, their buck, their predator head, whatever it is, on your mount, and they get to tell you that story. So that's awesome. You should even do. I think it'd be cool to do like a book or like an encyclopedia of Jim's stories, right? Of people that have told you their stories of all their different animals. That'd be pretty cool to have. But yeah, Jim, I really appreciate it, guys. You know, out there listening, go check out Jim's work. I'll leave his Instagram down below so you can reach out to him if you want anything custom done. Also, like I said, I put my first bull up on this mount, and it won't be the last by any means. Definitely recommend the Iron Mountain skull hangers. And you guys go check them out. You're going to get, again, over 40 years worth of experience into your hanger. It's going to hold it for generations to come, and you'll be able to tell stories while it's hanging up on a custom mount or on a horseshoe mount, or whatever you choose to go with Jim. So again, thanks, Jim. I really appreciate your time. Thanks for hopping on here. And like I always say, guys, get out, live your life, and love it.
Thank you.